And we're going to present each of the players with in our program all 4 years. We have the 2 state championship teams, Mr. Jerry Sanders. This gentleman is number 43, James White. And the last member of our senior class, who also has been a member, number 32, thank you for your patience, and this is our senior class of 1999.
Give it up for the 1999 Milwaukee seniors. 6'2", 6'3", and center, 6'4", senior year, number 10, James Hall. Hamilton is coached by Jim Jones. State basketball champion Vincent Vikings. 5'9" guard, number 23, George. 6'5" sophomore forward, number 44, the man in the middle, 6'5", senior number 33, James 6'7", senior forward, number 41, Terry Sanders. And in front, 6'5", senior number 32, Williams. Vincent is coached by Tom Peters, assisted by Gary Perry and John Allen.
the ball. That little sucker can jump.
Let's go get the ball back up real quick.
Yep.
And teach them how to hustle too.
That's his second personal, second team. Terry Sanders. Possession call, Hamilton. 2 minutes.
Who's down there? Oh my goodness. I'm looking for another dunk.
Number 41, Terry Sanders shoots 2. James Hall returns to the Hamilton lineup for Davis. 44, Cuba. Hamilton foul 24, Scott 9. That's his first personal 15 on Hamilton. Berry returns to the Hamilton lineup. Scored for is
Another try. About 30, I will too.
second personal, second team. Into the Hamilton lineup for Granbury. And number 5, Deontay Tatum returns for right.
And that was the end of that. Let's take a look. By the way, there's some recent court cases that your attorneys probably won't be familiar with. A Supreme Court case that says that those major risks there in the unregistered securities area generally apply only to public offerings, new offerings, that kind of thing. Also, we have a helpful case that says that you can submit the securities issue to the final and binding arbitration as well. So you get rid of the radical jury out there that might really do something stupid. You know, the retired insurance executive says, oh, come on, I know what you guys are doing here. Give me a break. You know, just keep the agency, let's move ahead. It's your fault that it failed. Let's take a look at the next slide. Larry is page 8, is where our slide is. Okay, this is our description of an asset sale here, just in visual, and we can get it later. We've got our corporation over here at the triangle. It sells the stuff, the files, out to the buyer. Buyer sells, puts money into the corporation. IRS takes a small hit down here, as you will see. The corporation then is usually liquidated eventually. More taxes at that level. Cash gets distributed out to the corporation's owner. Hopefully there's a lot left. Okay, it might be less than half of it left. A little vague on the slide there. Okay, Larry?
Well, I am an accountant. What can I say? All of you have this material in your handouts. I know it's not going to be possible to read everything that I have on here from the screen, but the reason we did it this way is because based on lots and lots of experience, it actually turns out to be easier to communicate the key concepts off of a spreadsheet like this. So we're really going to hit the key concepts, the key places where the money goes when you actually sell an agency, and it's right here. Now, Gary mentioned that an asset sale is the most common sale structure. And by the most common, you're talking 90, 95%, maybe even higher. So the most common is very, very common. You'll also find nationwide 2/3 of all agencies are C corporations, which means even if you're not, if you're a buyer, the odds are it's a C corporation you're looking at to buy. So we have to focus on the left-hand side of this spreadsheet because that is where you're likely to be, and that is one of the main reasons so many sales fail to close. Now look at this pie chart down at the bottom. I'll sort of start with the answer. You don't have it in color in your materials, but if it were, it would be red. The part on the left there is taxes, and that's over half. The green there is what the seller gets to keep. This is not considered real exciting. Once in a while, the seller decides he really doesn't want to sell. Sometimes this kills deals.
That's blood red for a reason.
Now, fortunately, there are ways to help fix this problem, too. That's one of the reasons you're here. But this is not a trivial problem. Now, I didn't even hit it as hard as I could have when I subtracted out the taxes. But let me walk you through what happened to cause this result. To start with, the sale price is right here in the middle. That's $500,000. You can barely see that from home. That's a 5 anyway. Now, to get $500,000 in any business sale, the business has to earn that money to pay to the seller. Now, it might take several years, but we are trying to simplify things a little bit. So we're sort of consolidating those years, and there was enough money earned at some point to get $500,000 to pay to the seller. Turns out that's going to take $640,000 to have $500,000 left. So the first thing we have to know is, how did the seller get taxed? Because what I'm doing in this pie chart is looking at the total taxes on this sale. That means the taxes to the seller and the taxes to the buyer. Because it turns out, if you want to reduce the total tax, you have to look at the big picture. Surprise, surprise, sometimes if you lower the tax on one side, it raises it on the other. Now here's the second part of that surprise, surprise. The amount you lower it on one side can be substantially better than the amount it goes up on the other side. And if one side wins, maybe you can figure out how to split the benefit and both sides win. So that's what we're going to be emphasizing. If you can reduce the total tax, everybody can win. So we'll start at the top. There's $640,000. Now, part of that $600,000 is going to be sheltered with a deduction. Not as much as you think. The first thing you're going to hear when you go talk to your CPA is that an asset sale is fully deductible. Hey, all right. It's a 15-year write-off. If you have to wait 15 years to get the deduction, it's not quite worth as much as writing it off right now. If you have, this is just simple numbers, if your time value of money is 10%, it's worth 50 cents on the dollar. So a more reasonable way of looking at it is an asset sale is half deductible. So you have a half deductible buyout. Remember, this is a simplification, but it'll get you there. So we have $250,000 as a tax deduction against the money that was earned. Now, you're going to have to pay tax on what's left. This is a C corporation. I just assumed 34%. I did not put anything in there for state and local taxes. So if you think 58.8% was high, sorry, it's worse than that. Now, everybody's state and local taxes are different, so you can fill in the blank yourself. There's $500,000 left over. The $500,000 goes from the buyer down to the seller. The seller thinks no sweat. Capital gains tax 20%. I've got to write a $100,000 check. I'm done. Not so. You can thank Dan Rostenkowski, 1986. Something changed. Used to be that way, but now in an asset sale you're going to get to pay taxes at the corporate level on the whole sale price. 34% off the top. Then you get to pay your 20% capital gains tax. Are we having fun yet?
Yeah, he's in jail because of that one.
Dan's comment was, is that why Rostenkowski went to jail? I don't know. That might be grounds. So what you end up left with is $264,000, if I can read the slide right. It's in your materials. And that's 41.2% of what you started with. And we did not hit it as hard as we could have. So I didn't subtract state and local taxes for either the buyer or the seller. That's the most common situation, and based on some fairly reliable statistics, most people don't get past that point. And it's not real surprising that so many sales don't close. Now, not everybody is an S Corp or a C corporation. Some of you, or some of the people you'd be considering buying, are S corporations. So you do need to know what the difference is. And we'll start with the answer again. Taxes, 37.6%. You get to keep 62.4%. Now, that's more than half again better. That's a big difference. You could sort of say that's the difference between somebody who sells his agency for 1 times and somebody who sells his agency for 1.5 times. Does that sound like a big difference? It's a big difference. And the only thing we changed was whether you're an S corporation or a C corporation. Now let's see what happened there. Same agency, so the same amount of money came in the door, $640,000. And the deductibility was the same because it's an asset sale. So for the buyer, no difference. Same $500,000 was left over, but look at this. This is where you save the money. There is no corporate tax for the S corporation. Now the IRS has a rule of thumb, or I'm not sure if it's the IRS or Congress, never make it simple when complex will work almost as well. Okay. So, it's more complicated than that. If you used to be a C corporation and you switch to S corporate status, which turns out to be fairly easy to do, but you used to be a C and you didn't switch before January 1st of 1989, you're going to have to wait 10 years before you get this benefit. So you can't just switch today in order to avoid having to pay that tax. That's why they make you wait 10 years. But if you don't have that problem, then you're not going to have to pay the double tax at the seller's level. So you will have to pay the capital gains tax, but what's left over on the bottom line is $400,000, and that's more than half again more than what was left on the bottom line for the C corporation. And we haven't really done anything very complicated yet. We did save a little bit of money. Well, that's asset sales. Gary, you want to tell us what a stock sale is?
Just to review that one now. The purchaser has to buy at least a little bit of the stock over here. Mr. Purchaser, the corporation might redeem the balance of the stock. It just means it buys back its own stock. It might sell 1 share of Mr. Purchaser, takes over the corporation, buys back all the rest of the stock. There's the money over here. The seller receives cash from the buyer, possibly from the corporation as well. Capital gains tax gets taken off at that point. There's the corporation over here.